We take you through the front pages of Nigerian newspapers and return to bring some analysis on some of the issues we're seeing here today. The Nation will be our first, and of course, like you would know, Benue is in the front pages of almost all the dailies today. Benue killings, president goes hard on security chiefs. We'll talk about a bit more on how hard, he went with them. The Daily Independent would be our next. Tinubu orders security chiefs to hunt down killer herdsmen, asks Governor Alia to constitute peace committee, directs him to make land available for ranching, especially that part. Would look at that when we return for some of the analysis. The Daily Times is our next paper this morning. As I quickly bring you what is also there, Benue, Tinubu sets up elders committee demand land for ranching, aborts visit to Yelwata. Okay, why did the president do that? Maybe we'll look at that. The Daily Trust as well, Benue killings, arrest perpetrators, Tinubu orders security chiefs, and then the Hope newspaper. Something right there in a little bit different. Genocide, Tinubu in Benue visits hospitalized survivors of Yelwata attack. Proposes peace committee and ranching initiative. Absolutely right. The Blueprint is our next. And the president is being quoted as saying, we'll return Benue tragedy to prosperity. A good way to say no to bad men and women. This Nigeria will be where we're going to next. And the same conversation in Benue. Get the criminals. Tinubu orders security chiefs, advocates ranching. But something else right there also. Senate gives NNPC a 1-week ultimatum to account for over 210 trillion naira missing funds. I am really interested in this, and I know the table also is. Okay, the Punch newspaper will be our next this morning. INEC fires back at coalition over 2027 party registration delay. Okay, we'll talk a bit more about that when we come back for the analysis. Nigerian Tribune is our next as we see something else. Tinubu to service chiefs, IGP fish out Benue criminals. Of course, that is the marching order. The Leadership newspaper is the next we want to look at this morning. And, well, very boldly, the FCT's advert is there. The president is going to be commissioning some more projects. And I think that's where we'll leave it on the Leadership as we make our way quickly to the Nigerian News Direct newspaper this morning. Something a little bit different right there. This is coming from Osun State. Osun LG crisis deepens as Adeleke government. Norgay warns CBN, AGF against funding impostors. All right. And finally, on the Sporting Life, Reds offer Chisi, am I correct? Nuns for Osime. Okay. All right. Newness, thank you. Very more sporty than myself, actually. But my team is on the table, Veronica, Ria, and Etoma. We are talking Benue, gentlemen and ladies. And we have seen what the president has done. We spoke a bit more about that earlier. But if the Nation is saying the president is going hard on security chiefs, my question, Etoma, is how hard will the security chiefs go on handling the criminals?
If your principal says this is what you're supposed to, this is what you do professionally, and you are not doing it well, it's an indictment. It depends on how seriously you take your office and how seriously you take that statement by your principal. For me, my principal criticizes me that way, I will want to change the narrative. So I expect that the service chiefs are going to, how do I put it, tighten their belts and so on and get this job done. Mr. President wondered and said, how come not even one person has been arrested? Not even one person has been arrested. That was what he said before he said, look, you guys have to do something about this. He was very clear about it, and I really hope that the service chiefs are taking it seriously, and we'll start having news in that direction.
And Veronica, on the Daily Independence, we see a picture of the president right there visiting our brothers and sisters who were victims of this issue in the hospital. Would we call this a failure in security?
Well, you can call it everything that you want to call it as it is, because if they were secured, they wouldn't become victims in the first place.
That's right.
And the security of lives and property is the primary purpose of any government. That's what the Constitution says. So they've been victims. It's a failure of security as it is. And now that they are being given marching orders, or the president is giving marching orders to security chiefs, I think that right now they should think outside the box.
Exactly.
That was why I was unhappy with the statement that came from the military, saying that they know that there are people, because you need to work hand in glove with the people of the state. And if you are making that kind of statement, there will be a trust deficit, even much more than we have seen, because we've had complaints long before now. So we need to first build trust. We need to ensure that the people can gather, the military can gather intelligence, or security apparatus can gather intelligence as much as possible, because they need that to address whatever the issues are as we speak. They need to interrogate or speak with persons like the Tortiv, who spoke about what was going on in the state. So they need to engage a lot of people and work with the information they get.
And Ria, Daily Times is also talking about the same thing. But there's something Veronica raised, and I want you to expand on that a little bit more. Something here, Benue killings, armed Fulani burned 20 members of my family. A survivor is speaking. Shouldn't the security apparatus of this country change the strategy of how we go about these kinds of issues? We sat here in Nigeria and watched President Obama, Hillary Clinton, and the command chain of security in America sit in their office and watch how Bin Laden was taken out. Shouldn't we deploy such technology as well?
I'll start with the fact that I said it a lot of times on this table, just watching the survivors speak was it for me. And I say it all the time, losing members of your family is no joke. Now, I just want to add a little bit to what Veronica said. When we talk about security, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like we're not doing enough. And then that's why the president asked that question and said, why? Because when you look at it, Etoma, over this long period of time, not one person has been arrested. Now, let me tell you something. Some of these people have now become bold. We've sat on this table and we've spoken about a terrorist making a video to say you need to pay a certain amount of money. If not, you cannot go to the farm. And I feel like these terrorists are also getting comfortable because they feel like the security is not doing enough. Why are we not thinking outside the box? Why are we not doing things? We cannot keep doing things the same way. If you're working the same way and it's not happening, why don't you change the way you work? And I pray that the statement that the president made, they should take it as a statement that means that you can do better. I don't think that up till now, somebody has not been arrested for these killings. That means, where are they? Like, are there no intelligence? Like, why has somebody not been arrested for these killings? And I really hope that at this point, they put their foot and just try to make it better. Like, let people gain trust in them again. And that's why people are not even trusting the security system, if you ask me.
And Etoma, on the Daily Trust, and this is shifting from Benue State to Katsina now. We're seeing bandits kill 24 farmers and others in Katsina communities. Almost the same pattern.
Farmers. It's almost the same pattern. And the question that keeps burning in my head is, how come our security, with everything that they have, the training and the technology that they are now deploying and so on, how come they are so ineffective when it comes to bandits and terrorists? What is the question we are not asking? What is happening? I don't know if you get my drift. Because this is not, it's not normal. It's not normal. When things like this happen, the populace depends solely on our security apparatus to nip this thing in the bud, and we are not seeing action. And when we do not see action, we embolden these bandits, we embolden the terrorists. They get more brazen and they do worse things than they have done before. And that is what is playing out. It's so unfortunate.
And Veronica, on the Blueprint newspaper, the president is saying will turn this strategy into prosperity. One of his demands is lands to be made available for ranching, hopefully to curtail the nomadic nature of, herders, as it were. But how do you see prosperity being milled out of this?
If it depends on how we approach the solution that has been provided, so to speak. Because if you begin with speaking peace and talking peace in the first place, everywhere will be calm. People will be able to go to their farmlands.
That's right.
And those who have spaces and ranches will be able to do the needful, and the monies will be channeled back into the state to help build the society, to help build that state again. As we speak, farmers cannot go to the farm. And we know that Benue State is the food basket of the nation. And if farmers cannot go to the farm, how do you and I eat? Because we depend on them. Yes, we depend on them for food. And if we are talking about ranching, how many people have bought into that idea? Because this is not the first time we're having this conversation. The last administration made an attempt with the matter of ranching. We saw the outcry where a lot of persons were saying, oh, you want to take over our lands. Grazing reserves is what we call them and all of those. But a lot of persons says, no, these are ancestral lands. So I am looking at how they'll look at have that conversation where people will be willing to give part of their ancestral lands for ranching at the end of the day, because you know how people are with their lands. So this thing, the conversation is deeper than we think.
That's right.
And so I am hoping that the committee will take it a step further to have explained these things in such a way that people will understand and the interest of people are taken care of, because that's critical.
Very important.
No, but quick question to Veronica here. You know, it's so funny that we're saying that people will not want to give out their lands for ranching. Is that not for yourself? Are you not selfish if you decide to do that? Because this is for the betterment.
Approach is key. That is why I said
which is very important.
Explanation, communication. How you communicate these matters to the people involved is critical.
Helping
because
them to
if
see
you do
why.
if you do not make me understand why you want to have part of my lands and I can accommodate you, I still see you as a traitor to my business or my land, I will not give it to you.
Absolutely.
So it's not selfish interest, but we are trying to have a collective interest. But then you must explain to me why I must give my land to you.
Indeed.
But I also feel like if you know the reason and you know that it's for the betterment, I feel like it's something you should let go.
Not everybody understands it as simple as you do.
Well, true.
Absolutely. And Ria, let me take you to this Nigeria, a little bit away now from Benue State, to money. The Senate is giving the NNPCL 1 week ultimatum to account for over, Ria, hear this, 210 trillion naira.
Trillion, not billion. Now I tell you, when Bawa wrote this book, we all spoke about it. See, at this point, I really want to read this book because it seems like there's a lot of corruption at the NNPC. And this is like one of the most important aspects of, you know, our country. And we're looking at the corruption. Look at the amount of money. How long did they give them to bring it out?
1 week.
You know,
is it possible in 1 week with that amount of money?
When I saw the headline, I said, this is 210 trillion we're talking about, not 250 naira. It's 210 trillion be missing.
But, you know, I tell you, honestly, it seems like there's a lot of corruption in the NNPC.
It doesn't seem.
Allegedly, let me just allegedly, so it's not from my mouth, but it seems like there's a lot of corruption.
But from my perspective, this is not the first time we are talking about missing monies with the NNPC.
No.
Just a few months ago, the SERAP was asking for about 500 million or much more from the NNPCL to give account for it. And even years before now, we've been hearing stories like this. So I'm hoping that the Senate will be able to hold them to account.
Quickly, let me say one thing. I just hope that the people that are in charge will do the right thing, because we don't want more books coming out after they come out from power.
Let's add some speed to this, my people, because we don't have a lot of time. The Punch newspaper, a little bit something also different. INEC is firing back at coalition over 2027 parties registration at Toma. There are guidelines to registering your party What, I mean, they've been doing this for years. How come this time around it's looking a bit difficult to register?
I don't know why INEC is worried.
Form, isn't it?
Frankly, my attitude towards it is that, why are you worried? It's their business. If they want to register, let them register. I mean,
it's worried because it comes back to people saying INEC do not allow them. People don't look at the political parties. They always point accusing fingers at INEC. And you know how the political elite also directs people's attention to INEC. So they need to shout where they need to shout. And I like the fact that they are talking about it.
They need to put it all out so that when trouble comes, they say, we said it all.
We said it. Okay.
And the Nigerian Tribune is also talking about the issue in Benue, which we've covered quite a lot. And the Leadership newspaper is talking about what is going to be happening in the FCT. The commissioning still going on and so on and forth. But let's quickly run to the Nigerian News Direct newspaper as we turn our attention to Osun State. Veronica Itomanria. The LG crisis is deepening as Adeleke government Norge is warning CBN AGF against funding impostors. I'm worried about that phrase, funding impostors. Who are the impostors they are funding?
The APC chairman that the courts said, look, you guys can go ahead and take your office. The sitting government doesn't recognize them. So as far as they are concerned, they are impostors. And I'm wondering how a CBN will go and say, okay, you are not APCs, you are APC, take some money. Come on, man. It's an Osun State problem. Osun State should take care of their problem.
And Veronica, the writer is saying that Argon has fired back to Norge and accused Union of political bias. This seems like a wahala in one family.
Of course, politics coming into play. Association of Local Governments of Nigeria and then National Union of Local Government Employees are the ones that are at loggerheads with regards to this matter right now. I am hoping that they can resolve this matter without any politics being played, because the grassroots, we have been talking about empowering the third tier of Nigeria, of the state, so that we can address developmental issues. So it's important that we keep politics aside as much as possible. Whatever the issues are, I want the governor to be assertive at addressing this matter, because it is under his purview and so should know what to do. Yes, we know constitutional matters here, but then where he needs to assert himself, he needs to do that.
I wish we could talk about the defection of the former Vice President Amadi Sambo to the APC. You know, his principal, the President, Jonathan, you know, went to visit him. But let's get to the Sporting Life, which will be our last paper this morning. Sometimes time just really flies. Reds offered, please, is this Chelsea or Chelsea? And newness for Osimhen. Veronica, could you help me out here?
Chisa.
Oh, it's Chisa.
Chisa, and then newness for Osimhen. Recall that we even talked about this some days ago. How it is that the Reds were ready to sell off anybody to ensure that they bring in Osimhen to, you know, hold the grounds for them as it is. I'm hoping that Osimhen perhaps decides to look into that aspect. But one story that got my attention here is Lukman.
Exactly.
Ademola Lukman being ranked 6th in the Serie A, most valuable player in the Serie A, and he still was 60 million euros as it is. He's been doing a lot, and he deserves whatever he's getting right now and the recognition.
I always love the way Ria reacts.
I know, football money is so sweet. But my point is that when is Victor Osimhen finally going to stay with one? Veronica, let me ask you quickly. When is he picking?
He's taking his time to choose. Like I said the last time, no, he can't be fast, because it is about what will this do for my career if I move to.
He should be fast before they change their mind, though. He's the beautiful one in the garden.
He's valuable, so people will not change their mind like that.
Absolutely, and we're not changing our mind. As coming up on TVC Breakfast, Cross River State Government launches judicial inquiry into project commissioning disruptions. Join us for this conversation after the